everyone. My name is Sam Nestory. I am the engagement manager at Stoneleigh of Natural Lands, and we are really excited to welcome some of the writers from Villanova with us for tonight's program, Prose and Poetry, Villanova Writers at Stoneleigh. So, for those of you who may be new to us, Stoneleigh is one of the newest public gardens in the Philadelphia area. After 150 years as a private estate, Stoneleigh was generously donated to Natural Lands in 2016 by the Haas family, who lived here for nearly 80 years. Natural Lands is a regional nonprofit organization that works to preserve and nurture nature's wonders and to create opportunities for joy and discovery in the outdoors for everyone. Natural Lands has saved over 135,000 acres since our founding in the early 1950s, and we currently welcome visitors to 42 nature preserves and one public garden, Stoneleigh. Stoneleigh opened to the public in May of 2018, and since then we have been engaging guests from all over the state, all over the country, and sometimes even all over the world. We are very, very excited to have this unique opportunity to reimagine a historic estate through a contemporary lens and to welcome folks to the garden every Tuesday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. all year round, free of admission. We also offer a variety of programs, classes, and other events throughout the year. In fact, this month we have a wonderful event series called Home for the Holidays. If anyone is in the area and wants to join us for that, feel free to check out our website, stoneleygarden.org. So before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. Firstly, please keep your mics muted throughout the reading. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat. We can read them at the end. There also will be an opportunity for some discussion at the end. So we encourage you to save all your questions or comments for then. This is also a reading, so you may consider switching your Zoom view to speaker instead of gallery. That way you can really see each of the speakers as they move through their pieces. To do that, just click on the view button in the upper right corner of your screen and select speaker. If you have any tech issues at all, please feel free to direct message me through the chat or send me an email. I'll do my best to troubleshoot. And like I said, this program is going to be recorded and shared with everyone who registered for the event later this week. And now we're heading into tonight's program. So Stoneleigh has had the really great privilege of being very, very close to Villanova University. And during the pandemic, this physical closeness really fostered a wonderful relationship with many Villanova students and faculty, but especially Professor Kathy Staples, who's with us this evening. So she's been teaching her nature-based writing workshops at Stoneleigh since 2020, and we're really excited to welcome her and her students from the 2025 fall semester here tonight to read a selection of their works. It's my great pleasure to pass the baton to Professor Staples and enjoy the reading. Take it away, Kathy.
Okay, thank you so much, Sam. We are enormously grateful to Stoneleigh, to Natural Lands, to you, to Ethan Coffin, and all the gardeners and ambassadors who I hope will get to hear this tape, who have so generously welcomed us into the garden. And thanks too to our partners at Rushton Farm. And to our audience, thank you for joining in. I hope you will listen for things we love, you love. It's that simple. Listen for what you love, listen for mystery. And I would say be prepared to be whisked away from imagination's wild flights to the earthiness of the garden's details, beloved trees, hidden spots, childhood memories, and a sense of the spiritual. I'm delighted to set us going. And Katie, you are first off.
Hi everyone, my name is Katie Lewis. I'm a senior English and communication major with concentrations in journalism and writing and rhetoric. So, the poem that I'm going to read tonight, I came up with one day in September. I was walking to class, it had just rained, and I walked under this, tunnel of leaves, and the brightness of them, after the rain shower made everything around me turn green. And later that night, when I was writing this poem, I wanted to kind of capture that specific moment. And in writing this, I was inspired by the poems of Seamus Heaney and, his unique word choice that he uses to describe nature. So, um, my poem is called The Rain Garden. Um, I'll get started. Okay, wait, sorry. Um, I longed for the wet overhang, the silver sky, the green shadow, and the scent of petrichor rising up from the rinsed soil. I imagined the world through that blue-green lens where even soaked stones turn new shades. Periwinkle, cool blue, rich rust. After a shower, the world's color changes its tone, illuminating its deepest hues. To be closed in on a day like this is to refuse to see the beauty in a mess. Leaves like rubble slapping through an eternal puddle under a stony tunnel, and how disarray descends into calm. So I wished for the garden where the water is welcome.
I think we've got Grace next, and then Karina, Bianca, Dylan, Jaden.
Hi, I'm Grace, and I'm also a senior at Villanova. My major is communications with a specialization in advertising and PR, and my minors are in English and engineering entrepreneurship. The piece that I will be reading today is called Sea of Consequences. In this erasure poem based on information from National Geographic, I express how much humans have polluted the ocean and the consequences that they will face due to their actions. I chose this piece because I am passionate about protecting our ocean from pollution. Sea of Consequences. Ocean highway of broken things, floating, currents pulling, the unseen soup, smaller and smaller, pieces drifting in the calm eye, a bottle tossed from shore becomes a traveler. Microplastics cloud the water that once shimmered, nets and fragments trap life, poor innocent life, sunlight blocked, sea life starved, food web weakens, plastics release poisons, life turns silent, we all leave. The trace, what we waste, becomes a sea of consequences.
My name is Karina Baylor. I'm a senior communications major, specializing in journalism. The name of my piece is Walk in Nature. My piece is about a good walk caught. I had an amazing opportunity to take a walk through Stonely Gardens, and my piece is focusing on the beauty I found in the garden. Walk in Nature. The start of my walk begins at the tunnel, the very end or beginning, however one sees fit. The air shifts as soon as I step toward it, like the tunnel has its own quiet pulse, welcoming but mysterious. I chose this as my starting point because it places me in a frame, almost like nature is guiding my view. Pillars on each side of me, with a stone wall at the very bottom, leaving me no room to escape. Their rough surfaces feel ancient, like they've watched thousands of footsteps pass by and still stand unmoved. Wood covering the top that looks like monkey bars traveling all the way down to the end of the tunnel, where a bench sits, waiting generously for the next human, bird, insect, or leaf to make it their home. The wood beams are weathered, carrying history in every crack and line. This little frame of nature holds everything I usually try to avoid: my fears, my dislikes, my discomfort, everything the world makes me feel. But the difference about this box is that it's cozy. It feels free. It's different from the box society has to offer. It's a box filled with beauty, things not everyone may find pretty or cute, but the different ways nature breathes and relaxes in the world. Sometimes the beauty feels so subtle, you only notice it when you slow down enough to let it touch you. Learning to get comfortable with the uncomfortable is finding a different perspective in life. Warm and cozy air brushing against my skin, but a light breeze traveling through the leaves. The breeze carries the faint smell of earth, soft, fresh grounding. The sun is bright, but only in certain places, like a spotlight made for me. The light filters through the gaps in the wood, creating shifting patterns on the ground that move as I walk. If I ever want to get away, there's shade, leaves, and bushes keeping me safe away from the light, away from the world. The shade feels like my secret pocket of calm, a temporary hideaway from everything outside the tunnel. My thoughts are still bright like the sun, never dull in my mind, just like the flowers around me. Not many, but enough to make the tunnel pop, just like me. Their colors peek out like small surprises, as if nature tucked little reminders of joy in all the right places. As I take small steps, I feel the gravel dig into my soul, into the soles of my shoes. The sound of the gravel makes me not want to stop talking. I love it. Every crunch echoes slightly, like the tunnel is responding to me. I feel like a kid again, kicking rocks and watching the dust build up. I feel like myself. Not the self trying to please everyone and not the self that's anxious. Just Karina Baylor, the girl my parents created, protected by the pillars around me and the lid that covers, which is made of wood. Vines hovering over it as if it's natural decor that has always been there. The vines twist effortlessly, draping themselves in ways no human decorator could imitate. Leaves from the vines fall and lay gently, like a rose petal walkway. Each leaf seems perfectly placed, creating a soft, natural carpet that cushions my steps. I find myself wondering at the beginning of this, how did it look when it was first built? Did it feel as mystical as it does now? How long did it take the vines to lay so beautifully around the wood? I'm not sure, but it's the art of growth, the art of life. It bends whatever direction we want it to bend. Growth has a way of shaping itself with or without permission, finding light even in places it wasn't meant to. My walk ends with me sitting on the bench at the end of the tunnel, curious on what I could have thought if I did this walk in the early morning or late at night. The bench feels cool against my legs, grounding me as a new thoughts swirl. Would I think differently about this box? Would I be scared to even enter it at night? Maybe the shadows would stretch longer or the silence would feel thicker. Does this box represent good like it did to me today? Who knows? But I know my perspective will change, just like the vines did before it touched the box, just like the new leaves that sit gently on top of the gravel, just like me when I grew up. And maybe tomorrow, the same. The same walk will teach me something new I wasn't ready to see today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bianca Brooker. I'm a senior English and Peace and Justice major with minors in writing and rhetoric and communication. And the short story I'm going to read for you guys today kind of came to me at the end of October when we were having our classes outside the main house in Stoneleigh. And it's kind of based off the short stories of Alice Hoffman and the idea of place and exploration and leaving home. So this is called Spider Girl of Black Widow Lane. Sure, you have heard of Spider-Man, but have you heard of Spider Girl? She lives in the little red shed past the great oak. Even though her shed is only made of twigs and plywood, it holds up even in the greatest of snowstorms, which is great considering she lives in a very cold, very small village. The other children make fun of her. They say her dark hair is too untamed and full of spiders, which is true. Spider Girl finds the most hairy and long-legged companions. Spiders are her deepest and truest confidants. She tells them magical stories long into the night. The children make fun of the red boots she is always wearing, but these boots are sentimental to Spider Girl. They were given to her by her mother. After every long day of playing, she comes home to her shed, slips off her muddy, bright red boots, and starts to eat the cabbage soup her mother has prepared for her. While she slurps the warm soup into her mouth, her mother insists on picking the spiders out of her hair. Webb, you have to stop putting all these spiders in your hair, her mother said with a heavy sigh every night as she picked them out using a fine green comb. Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention, Spider Girl's birth name is Webster. Her mother has been calling her Webb ever since she was born, though. Mom, they are my friends, Spider Girl whined to her mom as she did every time her mom did this. After her cabbage soup, her mom would run her a bath with lavender soap to get out all the sap in her long black hair. While Spider Girl bathed herself in soap and suds and warm water, her mother would very diligently clean off her muddy boots with a red washcloth. This was their usual routine for all 10 years of her life. But on Spider Girl's 11th birthday, her life changed forever. It was the harshest of winters, so harsh that no spiders came out even during the peak of daylight. This deeply saddened Spider Girl, so much so that she didn't leave her bed for a week. Her mother tended to her, bringing her cabbage soup on the clock. The storms were rather great. A chill surrounded the house and could not be shaken. One night, after bringing her soup, her mother told Spider Girl she was going out to get more wood for the fire. That was the last time Spider Girl saw her dear mother. Spider Girl searched high and low until every part of her body was numb, but Spider Girl never found out what happened that night. A tree could have fallen on her, giving her no chance to make a sound. She could have tripped and fallen into a frozen lake. She could have encountered a witch who turned her into a spider. The latter is what Spider Girl chose to believe. And that is why Spider Girl went to live with the spiders of Black Widow Lane. She gathered her red boots and some of her mom's old sweaters and left her little red shed. She kissed the oak on her way out as if she knew she would never see it again. Spider Girl creeped and crawled her way into Black Widow Lane. The wolf spider welcomed her into his cave for the night. This is where she learned to stay. The brown recluse spider kept her warm in the coldest of winters. Mr. Longlegs tended to her when she was sick. The orb spider learned to make the cabbage soup her mother had always made her. Slowly, over time, she began to grow many, many legs. The black hair on her head spread to all over her body. The only thing that set her apart from the other spiders were her very recognizable red boots. Although Spider Girl missed her mother dearly, she was safe and free with the spiders. Today, the children say that a spider with red boots can be found far, far out, past the little red shed and the great oak, behind the main house and through the bog garden, under the arbor tunnel and around the Heineke cypress, right into Black Widow Lane. Rumor has it that the spider with red boots is currently weaving a huge web for her spider eggs. I wonder if they will be born with red boots. Thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is Dylan Cahill. I'm a junior political science major with minors in sociology and Irish studies. And I'm doing an erasure poem that's inspired by Tracy K. Smith's Wade in the Water. Half of it's gonna be a poem in two voices. So half of it's gonna be about going to Russian farms and seeing the common yellowthroat. And then our very own Professor Staples is gonna read the other part of the erasure poem, which is gonna be about marathon runners. So Professor Staples, if you're ready.
Don't you start, Trek ahead?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, oh
Uh,
yes, yes, I'm ready.
okay, sounds good.
I'm the marathon runner.
Yeah. So this is called A Poem in Two Voices, Migration and Marathon. Trek ahead, forward and only forward I march. The air chills blowing my feathers. No ribbon awaits my arrival.
The human body is amazing. Once it works out what you're up to, it'll almost always adapt. I gained huge experience and confidence from that challenge.
My stomach hums, lungs filled with wind, wings stretched steady. Black outstretched feathers, a belly of gold.
It was joyous, bizarre, and very, very hot. The look on the little girl's face as she turned with solemn awe from the toy to me and back again will stay with me forever.
Light shimmers, not a warming but a welcome. Distance aches. I smiled through the wind. I will make it south.
Finally, crashing over the line. I'll remember forever. Suddenly, everything went quiet. Everything stopped. My world had changed.
Thank you guys.
Okay, hi, my name is Jaden Piotrowski. I'm a senior studying marketing with a minor in sustainability. This piece is called A Walk Through the Honeysuckle, and it's a short reflection on how my love of the outdoors developed over my childhood and how I interact with nature now. I wander the gardens, taking paths I haven't explored before. As I crunch over the gravel and come across flowers I've never seen, something hits me with a wave of nostalgia, the scent of honeysuckle. It has always drawn me in, but never before have I had the time to stop and consider why it sticks out to me more than the birds chirping or the vibrant colors around me. The first time I'd ever smelled honeysuckle was when I was little, no more than 6 years old. My mom and I belonged to a co-op farm near my house, and we would go every Wednesday to pick our produce and flowers. She wanted to spend time with me and expose me to more meaningful things beyond TV shows and dolls. This was my first introduction to embracing the outdoors, and little did she know that this farm was the start of my continued passion for the environment. As we walked down the farm's driveway from the barn to the field, I smelled that sweet, unexpected scent for the first time. That's how it always was, unexpected. I never anticipated finding honeysuckle somewhere. It found me. It found me years later in middle school as I spent a summer at a watershed nature camp with my best friend. We trekked through the trails of the preserve, talking about animal camouflage and composting benefits, and there it was, honeysuckle. As it always had, it took me by surprise. The smell matches the flower, the soft yellow like the softness of its presence. I've never been overwhelmed by the scent. I've always been enveloped by it, like a hug. My friend didn't even seem to notice. She kept talking about setting up our tents. I didn't want to interrupt, but how could you not take a moment for this? It found me again in high school as I ran on the cross country team. I flew down the street, eager to find the entrance to my favorite trail, and there it was again. On the side of the road, those light yellow flowers reached up at me. The leaves weren't remarkable. It was the long, slender petals that seemed to defy gravity that I could identify the plant by. I wanted to stop and stand there for the rest of practice, taking in the scent until I couldn't smell anymore, but of course that was not an option. I pointed it out to my teammates, but nobody seemed to have an opinion on the flower. How could you not have an opinion? Didn't we all grow up smelling honeysuckle? Didn't we all attribute that scent to a time in our life that ended up being pivotal or a person who shaped who we were? As I wander through the garden now, I let myself get lost in my thoughts. I don't usually give the sensory aspects of my walks enough attention. I usually consider the weather because that affects my mood and my outfit the most. I think a lot about the visual aspects because I like going places where there's not a lot of traffic. It's peaceful finding a spot for myself and getting to enjoy the view on my own. I spend too much time people watching and being surrounded by others, and I need alone time. I also often consider the auditory aspects because if I'm not listening to music, then I'm listening for the birds, the wind through the branches, and I'm trying to find a place where nature blocks out the road noise. I don't usually touch things because I'm afraid of picking up the wrong thing and having a reaction. But that leaves smell, and I finally am not picking produce, camping, or on a run. I can sit and enjoy the honeysuckle and try to find those butter yellow flowers amongst the leaves. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maria Therese Berry. I'm a senior humanities and English double major with a Spanish minor here at Villanova. And my piece is one that I wrote spontaneously on a free write in our nature writing class in Stoneleigh. And I really was inspired just by the natural landscape of the flowers, especially in the bog garden. And I wanted to write a piece that captures the vibrancy of the flowers at the time. I believe I wrote it in September. And I was also inspired by the concept of taking field notes, which we had done after we visited Rushton Farms to go bird banding, which is why I entitled this poem Flower Field Notes. I remember once when a man in a three-piece suit walked through a dreamland, he watched tiny flowers throw frantic color at his feet. He took a step, watched the color disperse on the other foot, and stood, sedentary, covered with color, covered with shape and pattern. His feet became negligent to the color, as if his legs end where the flowers begin. His feet are the flowers, and the flowers have assumed him. He looks out, a sea of color, pattern, and shape. The flowers look up. They look at how foreign, how beige, how towering, and how intriguing this specimen that has joined forces with them appears. The sea of vibrant petals ponder that they should invite him into their home. They begin to crawl upward, infusing his garments with their permeating pigment. They become satisfied now that he is not so out of place. He looks down. The grand and wise wrinkle-leaf goldenrod warmly embraces his legs, infusing his trousers with their aroma. The fabric absorbs their dew and attracts petals like a magnet. Slowly, the natural dye of the damp petals, fused with the neutral canvas of the khaki on his suit, begins to bleed into the suit, staining them with a mark of mischief and a wink of playfulness. The blue mist flower bears its soul to him. The man becomes a smock, a remnant of the flower's creativity and artistry. Every time I tell his story, I call him the man who became a field of flowers. All the while I wonder, who is the real artist? If the man had planted himself 1 mere meter to the left, he would become a different array of brushstrokes, from their size to their shape to their color. Was it the flowers that chose him, or the man that chose the flowers?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jane Pouncey. I'm a sophomore here at Villanova University studying English and humanities with a minor in creative writing and a concentration in writing and rhetoric. The piece I'll be reading for you today was one that I wrote for our class. We typically go do free writes where we walk around the garden or take a spot and write. I found a place that I hold really dearly. It's a cove in Stoneleigh. It has a nice little bench, and there I wrote this prose titled "For I Am Me." I feel most myself with a fresh breeze on my face, and the smell of pine and dirt humming in my headed lungs. I have always believed myself a religious man, and though that may be true, as I find myself in the midst of nature, I do not thank my God while I am here for the beauty I am able to admire, nor do I thank thee for the peace I find in the tips of my fingers and toes. I, instead, find myself the most grateful for life itself, as a whole of just being, and the lovely sound of the cardinal at my feet, humming a tune I can only guess it had learned from another. I have never found myself turning to prayer in these moments, for I have only ever learned to be present and grounded when my feet are connected to the earth, just as my ancestors before me are. My present nature, when in nature, is something I choose to believe is God's will in itself. My Lord brings me from my mind and into his gray and yellow earth, turning it to something more vibrant and granting me the ability to yearn for omniscience and to let my fleshy wants go all at the same time. My unwavering presence is a gift from God Himself. My gift of forgetting the roads and the cars and the metal box I carry at my hip all vanish in one impaling breath. The gift to welcome both fear and the unknown, and turn the dissonant cry of my soul into a presence of curiosity which wields me to welcome all and know of the knowing and unknowing. The gift to be grateful for the legs that carried me to this quiet spot in the bush that lets light in through the trees and douses me in glitter. I thank thee, for I am myself, and nothing more nor less. I have only ever found myself thanking my Creator after my present nature is not divided, because then I feel most appreciative of my gift, my life, grateful that I am but a man and a woman, and fleshy, bruised peach and crimson ire to leak out of the gash I was gifted at the age of 9 and the age of 20. Grateful that I may be blessed with the ability to escape the baggage that holds my soul and preserve my sanity to its fullest capacity only after accepting the insanity that was also a gift to me many years ago. The escape allows my soul to wander without worry. When I am safe in the comfort of the Lord's arms, and my full undivided attention is stretched towards Him and Him alone, and when my being has returned to my baggage of flesh and blood, then and only then will my overwhelming sense of gratitude and sacrifice be enough to thank my God for the body that I have and the mind I have curated. For I am but a man and a woman, and Christ within me, my soul and my breath all in one, and but the humblest of servants that has been gifted the ability to yearn for omniscience and mortality all at once. I am but spontaneity, just as the tree before me and the blades of grass and cobwebs in my shoes, the bare feet stepping onto nails, leaking and bruising. I am flesh and martyr. I thank thee for I am you, and I thank thee for I am me. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Luke Fabietti. I'm a junior psychology major, and the piece I'm about to read for you is a poem I wrote that was inspired by our field trip to Rushton Farm, where we learned about bird banding and then about bird migration as well. So I hope you enjoy. This poem's called Baby's First Migration. Those caterpillars, who range in colors from the leafiest greens to San Marzano red, are all gone. Pennsylvania has become more like Alaska. The warmth will come again another day, but for now it's time to migrate. This place, which once was an Eden, full of towering grasses, sunflowers, and bees, is now a bare and famished brownery. Don't try to change the ways of migration. If you choose to be an avant-garde, you'll succumb to the freeze. Oh, you don't have to be scared. I understand that this is your first time, but we indigo buntings are tough as nails. Look, I'll go with you. We could sing some tunes together. What's that? Your father never taught you the songs? Don't worry, I can teach them to you. I think most folks don't learn from their fathers anyway. The journey won't be too hard. Not gonna lie though, the only rough part is getting past the Northeast. Once you get past those winter winds, it really is a breeze. I see that nice looking coat of feathers you got. Those will definitely keep you warm and help you blend in with the sea and sky. Oh, did I forget to mention we're leaving tonight? Sorry, forgot to give you the heads up. We'll be flying every night until we reach Mexico. Oh, it's not that far. We'll be soaking up the Central American sun in no time. By the way, do you know where the North Star is? Not to worry. You'll pick it up quick. Well, it seems like we're all ready to go now. Don't panic. We're gonna be just fine. And I'll be with you every mile of the way.
Hi, everybody. I'm Patrick Majidi, a finance major and graduating in the class of 26. My piece is a recount of a walk I took through Stoneleigh Garden, starting in the Circle Garden, walking through the Rockery, and eventually ending in Catalpa Court. This is my piece, Small Encounters. I began my walk through Stoneleigh Garden and was drawn to the curved bowl of green. I traced its edge, capturing every angle I could, peering over the curvature of the field. I made my way to a tucked-away alcove, a tucked-away place in an already tucked-away garden. I peered through the myriad of bushes and trees and take a seat on the cold-weathered bench. As I admire the same grassy bowl from my new vantage point, I hear the nagging scold of a catbird above whose nap I've disturbed. I enjoy one last peek over the crater before leaving him be. Soon, curving around the garden, I found my way back to the fountain whose stones resting below seemed trapped in time, as the water flows above without end. The bubbles on the surface excitedly pop as they careen towards the edge. Some of the falls tumble tumultuously and scattered, while others cling to the walls as they glide down. As I fight the urge to dip my fingers into the glassy surface, a fuzzy friend lands on my chest. The bumblebee stops for a moment and says hello, a much kinder companion to me than the nagging bird. It buzzes away after a moment to find a flower which I assume is a similar shade to the shirt on my back. Following its meandering path with my eyes, I realized my own time to walk about had come full circle. I make my way back to the class with the resounding thought that the smallest encounters can bloom into moments of unexpected joy. With the bee's hum still echoing in my ears, I stepped back onto the path. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Janine Hazelwood. I'm a senior English major with minors in history, theology, Africana studies, peace and justice studies, and writing and rhetoric. This piece is called Green Thumb, and I wrote it also about a walk I took in Stoneleigh. and how that experience kind of opened up my perception of the relationships in my life as well as nature. I think I'm in love today. So I rotate through life on an axis and walk along one too. In my solitude, the air is sweeter. I gulp down each particle like it may soon lose its taste. I've managed to swallow some of the cumulus clouds whole, the only remnants, shards of the wispy and forgotten. I make popping sounds with their bubblegum entrails, and the sound echoes off ancient shrouds. I am higher than the highest tree. My head soaring above vegetation, circling like the red hawk. Who will I make food of today? My path today is one occupied by love, so it is in the shape of a crystal ball. To the human eye, it would have been a circle, nonsensical and one-dimensional. To me and everything else, it was a sphere of truth and telling. There was a house in the distance, like the eye of a storm. Everywhere around seemed to be a furnace of life. There was a metal gate with leaves crawling and piling on top of each other until they reached the top, except there was no winner. The tangle of vines harbored more chaos than respectful competition, so they looked silly and a bit immature. The ones who didn't bother to entertain the race slouched into the rectangles of the gate, reaching out for a tinge of unfamiliarity. And to some of their luck, there were a few berries, multicolored in varying shades of blue, that nestled into green thumbs until it became time to jump ship. Behind the gate, there's a wooden fence caving in with the weight of what cannot be contained. I stare, and it seems to creak, intimidated by my upright posture. Still, the vines remain loyal and steadfast in their hapless upward retreat. This time, I noticed while walking along the gate, some of the soldiers died en route, shriveled up and browned under the same sunlight they once grew in. Just behind them, there are trees with feathery branches that create staircases to the sky. There is wild, untamed grass hugging their dormant neighbors who have turned a paler brown than the gate warriors. One tree extends their curtains onto the dilapidated wooden fence. The leaves create a similar pattern of moss that projects time in a circular shape, like a lily pad or an American lotus. All the spikiness of the world and branches and hard things fade into the foreground until it's made of wallpaper of reality. The circles and then the spheres reign supreme, like bubbles of light and phantasma. As I've declared before, I am in love. My mind was riddled with the buzzy teenage-like contentment of my lively circumstances, but I wanted enough distance to see that there's an entire world out there to be described, just like the tall man with sunglasses. I could wish for forevers or sunsets, but my desires would be immortalized by my words of trees and vines. I was tall today, and I walked with a cane of contemplation, smacking the ground in confusion whenever I lost grip on the path less traveled. I lead with love, but today nature leads me. I leave knowing that fate is the food of creatures like me who assign meanings to stars, meet cutes, and first glances. Those who adorn memories with fur coats just so they can be warm forever and have comfort. Those who love with their mouths closed and legs walking along a paradise confined. Please, Green Thumb, touch my hand and read my future.
Hi everyone, my name is Vicky Hoy and I'm a senior studying accounting and management information systems, finishing next week, which is exciting. I just also wanted to introduce you to Bella Hoy, my sister. She studies landscape architecture at Rutgers, so one day she'll be designing spaces like Stoneleigh, which I think is super cool. But today I'm going to be reading my poem, The Calling South, which was inspired by our trip to Russian farms this fall, where we were able to witness ornithologists examine and band migratory birds before their journey south. The Calling South. The early morning rested as the birds woke up for the day. The air was damp and quiet, and the clouds were thick above. The grasses were long and encompassing. Perhaps they did this on purpose, sneakily leaning in to hear the birds once more. We walked down the overgrown path, swallowed by its presence. The birds visit Russian farm to feed, to fatten, to fuel. the caregivers waiting to band their small, quivering bodies before the task of 1,000 miles. Perhaps they don't know how far they were built to fly, if not for the North Star, because who would have told a dear little friend the daunting task that lay ahead? Instilled in them was the calling south. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Catherine Lang. I'm a junior communication major, and my concentration is in media production. And today I'm going to be reading a poem that embodies one of the trees in Stoneleigh. And this tree is one that caught my eye our initial class meeting, and that during our free write I just kept coming back to. So this is Mother Tree. I've stood here longer than the benches and the brick, longer than the laughter that drifts through every season. My roots weave under the paths you walk, collecting stories like fallen leaves. Some stay, some blow away. The trees around me are old friends, lined in a square, steady and sure. They catch the wind before it reaches me, share rain through the soil, and hum quietly when no one's listening. The waterfall hums too, always moving, never tired, feeding the lilies that float like calm thoughts that never need to be spoken. I watch it all, the way people pause, look up, take a breath, then go. What they don't know is that I stay, keeping a pulse beneath their feet.
Good evening, friends. My name is William Jeffrey. I'm a junior education major with a concentration in English. Like many people here, I wrote my piece on a walk through Stoneleigh. Um, I have a favorite tree there. It's like a big oak. Um, but on the day I wrote this, there was this very cute old couple who had just kind of taken my spot there. So I took a new direction this day. And I wrote this prose piece that I call Faith in a Reach. Did you know the dead lay here? About 7 of them, though I did not count. The handful lay forever next to the statue of a dog. I'd say perhaps the dog is buried here too, but as far as I can tell, he is still standing. Standing right over the graves. Sitting. He sits in stone beside his family while they explore their eternal dreams. All dogs go to heaven, but this one waits. He wants to. I just know it. His lovingly etched fur has gone smooth, and smooth from rain, and the poor pup wears a tattered coat of bird poop. It's no bother. He gets to serve a purpose much longer than any person will. And as society would have it, that makes the concrete canine far more important. I only met this dog because an old couple stole my tree today. My tree is a stalwart dome in this park. Shooting skyward, my tree has a billow of thick green leaves. It curiously has no branch that faces southwest. Its neighbor steals all that sunlight. And the old couple stole my tree. In this public park that has seen tens, perhaps hundreds of thousands of individuals, why can't this couple tell that that tree was mine? Shouldn't they know they are keeping two friends from embracing? If I could speak fluently in the language of my friend, I would say, I miss you, or would he, next time? I would not be hostile, not to my friend. In my choppy tree speech, my friend could miss the wit and feel offended by my remarks. My friend would not know that my envy of the old folks is just in jest. My tree might think I'm sincerely jealous and resent those who do not deserve it. I know they'll get a turn someday to steal a young man's tree. I'll be real old too, but I'll still play. I would will my body to climb the branches and sit on the limbs. I'd throw nuts at lucky leaves and see who's stronger. I never climbed a tree until I was 18, so perhaps I'll be 81. A wise bookend, a palindrome of lifetime experience. Then all who remember William Jeffrey will say, he loved nature. He was climbing trees up until the very end. I might just do it. Check the obituaries in 60 years. Say hello. Just make sure you do not discourage the young man whose tree I stole from abandoning his climb altogether. He needs to climb upwards, perhaps to God. He needs to put his faith in a reach and pretend a branch is stronger than it is. The reach is scary, but what isn't? I'm terrified of the world. What I know can read me, I think I will always fear. My tree friend, I'm unsure. Trees wouldn't tell you if they could read you. Neither would the stone soldiers, best friends of mankind, who sit by our gravesides until our last names are gibberish. All that is wild is all that is trustworthy. Thank you.
Wow, guys, that was fabulous. All right. I would love to ask you some questions. If you imagine yourself not 60 years on, well, but maybe some shorter version, coming back in 5 years or 10, where is the place that you would bring a friend, a family member, someone dear, or where you'd meet someone in the garden? Where's the first place you'd want to run back to when you come for an alumni visit or something else altogether? You guys can all unsnap your mutes. And audience, we'd love to have questions from you.
I guess I'll go ahead and answer first. Um, so on our very first day of class, when we got to Stoneleigh, there's a huge open field and there's a tree that's about right in the center of it. And you can actually go into the tree, not like actually in its bark, but it's like a tree. It has its leaves over like a dome. So if you go in through the leaves, there's an entire space where you can just sit and I guess converse with your friends. I would definitely like to take my family there or take them to my favorite spot, which is the spot I wrote my piece for.
Great. Thank you, Jane. Vicky, where would you take your sister?
Well, unfortunately, I just the exact same idea. It's not really original, but I know Kat was talking about the mother tree, and I just felt like that's like the mother tree of like Stoneleigh as soon as you walk in. But I think my sister would enjoy any tree, to be honest, as long as it's native.
Well, she'll be very happy at Stoneleigh. You know, speaking of that Katsura tree, Bianca, were you going to say something? Speaking of the Katsura, what was it like for you guys to pass out of Villanova and through Stoneleigh, going through that gate every day? I always think in gratitude of all the ambassadors who kept it open. But what was the transition like?
For me, it almost felt like going into a portal into a different world almost. And walking through the gate, I would always see a really tall tree. We throughout our class have been researching which plants we're seeing. We've gotten an app called Picture This where we can figure out what plants we're seeing in trees and also apps that can tell us what birds we're hearing and things like that. So I'm pretty sure the tree was an eastern hemlock and there was always a vine on it. And I'm pretty sure the vine was called a Virginia creeper. And every time I would walk in, I would see the green Virginia creeper on the tree. And then I would see, it was green in August when we started the semester. And then it was bright red in the fall. And then after time, the vines kind of fell off and it was just the skeleton of the vine almost. So seeing that progression when we would always walk to Stoneleigh for class was really beautiful.
Oh, I love that.
I was a big fan every time going through the gate. Usually that intersection is very like scary because it's like it'll be busy and there's not much time to cross. And there'd be like a number of us there. I usually walk to class with Luke, but there'd always be like extra people. So it'd be just this really, I don't know, almost magical experience, not to overuse a pretty cliche word, but you'd kind of like run across the intersection with people, then you get into the gate and the world just like slows down and you're just in nature and it's beautiful and it just all, it fell into place and it felt good, especially with the stress of college. So I always really enjoyed going through the gate into Stoneleigh.
Oh, I love that description.
Yeah, I'd also have to say the same thing. It is like magical, like not to use a cliche word, but it really is. Um, I notice like whenever I'm walking, I always tend to look down at my feet as to not step on caterpillars or any kind of bug or insect because you'll find a lot of them squished on the pavement. But also just everything about it, it reminds me of home. It's very comforting. It's like a breath of fresh air whenever I enter into Stoneleigh. So the change in weather was kind of disappointing to say the least. Having to go back on my own and visit in the cold weather and not be able to stay for an hour, 2 hours on end. But yeah, the garden is such an amazing place.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I'm one of those people that's like always on my phone. Like for like our Tuesdays and Thursday classes, like I just have like work into class into a meeting, and then I would have this class where I would just be able to like sit with like myself, like actually like put my phone away, like read and like take time to like write, which like doesn't normally happen. I feel like it was like a really great way to just like reset the day. And it felt like going in there was like an oasis. I know everyone said it was like a breath of fresh air too. So it was kind of like a space where like everything like was relaxing and like I was able to just like reflect and like all that would happen. And then like I could go back to my life like feeling like refreshed.
Oh, I love that.
For me, kind of walking into the gates kind of gave me a sense of like childlike curiosity in a way. And I think, like a lot of people were saying, college routine is pretty rigid. So being able to kind of like pause and think creatively and kind of dabble with my imagination was something that was kind of new for me. And I greatly enjoyed that. So I think the garden kind of provided that space to think outside the box, to have these thoughts and come up with these characters and stories. So that was really awesome.
Oh, that's great.
I think for me, it felt more like a club than a class, almost like a nature club. Because like I think due to the fact that like we were outside and also like that it's such a fun class. Like it never felt like I was going to class. It felt like I was just like going to like some like activity to like have some fun, you know?
Well, you guys really gelled as a group, as a community. You know, I wanted the other question I wanted, well, is there anybody in the audience that has any questions? I also wanted to ask you about your past. I mean, we know that Jaden's mom introduced her to honeysuckle, and that became a driving force. But as I met with you guys and read some things, I was really surprised to learn about different things in your background that led you to this class, um, where you grew up, jobs. Katie, I know you had some really cool summer things that you did, and
Yeah, so taking this class really brought me back to my past experiences, and it was great to get to revisit that and also to do some creative writing because I had never taken a creative writing class before. So it was great to think about my experiences and, Stoneleigh itself through a creative lens rather than just, walking and looking around, actually getting to turn it into poetry. But the experience that I kept looking back on was I grew up in Miami, Florida. I still live there, but I've lived there for 21 years. And for 5 of those years, I volunteered at this botanic garden in Miami. It's like Stoneleigh, but giant and tropical. So there I gained a lot of appreciation for nature, for environmental issues, because my job as a volunteer was to teach people about environmental issues in South Florida and what the garden was doing to combat them. And I also did some other fun things like working at a butterfly garden and teaching people about butterflies. So it was great to, go back to my, kind of botanic garden knowledge at Stoneleigh, because that was a very formative experience for me working there for 5 years. So, yeah, that's something I really enjoyed from this class, and then also getting to do some creative writing.
oh, good. This is great. When you guys made maps of the place, you had some really cool names. Do you want to share anything with Sam, the way that you the way that you titled things, and how what was your we talked about Seamus Heaney has the expression that of omphalos. The center of his world was a pump, and the center you all took made different centers in your maps. Omphalos being the belly button. You all made different centers in your hand-drawn maps. What were you really struck by originally, and how did that map kind of change?
I feel like when I made the map with Karina,
Yeah,
we didn't fully explore the entirety of Stoneleigh, so a lot of it was empty space where we just kind of guessed where things were roughly, and we didn't have like a full understanding of like where things were chronologically, like in the sense of where our initial meeting place was, and then the bog gardens, then where we ended class. Like it
yeah,
all seemed like these puzzle pieces that didn't really have any like connective pieces until the end of class.
yes, yeah. Janine, you have your hand up. Well said, Kat. That mystery.
I think as we started to explore the garden a little bit more, like well, me personally, the my center kind of changed. Like I always thought, just because we were going in from like the side of where the gate was, like Will was talking about, that the center was like that huge kind of willowy, like I think it's a katsura tree.
Yes,
I think like the more we started to walk around and like wander and like find, I guess, places or plants of like interests and of like topics for poems and other pieces, that it came easy to find like your center and everything. Like there by the end, like I don't feel like the center was like the katsura tree or the mother tree or the house. Like I just think, you know, it's wherever you're able to find it and find inspiration in the moment.
bravo. Does anyone want to just comment on anything else or introduce a family member? I'd love to hear from your sister Vicky because she's a landscape architect. Wow, that's pretty cool. Did you guys have was landscape part of your growing up?
I don't know if Bella wants to answer, but landscape is not what we were doing growing up. Everyone in my family has been an accountant. They trace it back to like 1483, and it was still an accountant. So when my sister took up landscaping, I think she's been a landscaper for like 5 years now, just working mostly like seasonally. Everyone was like very surprised, and then she went back for a master's in landscape architecture and was like, I want to build these spaces, with like native plants and like a landscape that really people can connect with emotionally, and like the kind of disappearance of like third space is like, how can we bring that back and how can we bring back community? And no one in my family was thinking about that at all. Like we were just thinking about accounting. So we were like, that's great. I mean, it's been an adjustment for my parents, but I just think it's pretty cool. I don't know if she wants to speak on it, but I don't want to put her on the spot either. I'm just happy that she wanted to show up for this.
Thank you all for coming so much. I am so proud of you. It's been such a joy watching these pieces come along, and seeing you gel as a group. You have been so marvelous with one another, and it's really been a joy. I hope you're going to send me these pieces so I can look at them again over the weekend, because you've made revisions, and it really was just beautiful. Sam, do you have anything else? Do you want to close up the shop here?
Sure. I just want to thank you all so much for sharing your pieces. My gosh, is this our fifth year doing this, Kathy?
Yes.
And every time I get so emotional just hearing about how you all have connected with Stoneleigh and the changes that you see in a short amount of time. For those of you who are graduating, Becky, congratulations. We hope you'll come back and visit. And the same goes for all of you who are still in school. Come on over, take the creativity that you used here at Stoneleigh and take a break from crazy college life. We'd love to have you. Thank you to everybody who joined us this evening. Thank you to Kathy Staples for all of her work. We hope we'll see you all at Stoneleigh in the future. And that's all we've got. Go off, have a wonderful night, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you all.
So proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful job.